back to my channel. So today is going to be the start of my dedicated, spoiler-filled reading vlog for A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. So this is the August book club pick for my book club, Happily Ever Afters. In this video, I'm just going to be talking all about this book. Like my thoughts on it, what I think is going to happen, theories, anything like that. In this one, we have Luella, who is a healer, which is, well, you probably will see that video after this one. But I recently read Death of the Dawn by Amanda V. King, and that was about a girl named Lena who was a healer. And I'm reading them back to back, and I didn't realize that. So I'm reading another healer story, but she's a healer and she's in love with her good friend Luke, and he in turn is in love with her. Oh, by the way, I already started reading this book. I'm like 30-some% in. I started it late last night, so I didn't have time to start this vlog before. He's in love with her, she's in love with him, but like nothing's ever happened because she is very much about duty, and she wants to be a healer, and she wants to take care of the people in her town, Captain. And they I guess the whole town kind of got together to send her off to academy so that she could get trained to be a healer. So she feels as if that is like her duty, and she doesn't like want to get married. She wants basically to be married to her work, pretty much. And Luke is not okay with this. He's apparently had his eyes on her for a while now, and he had given her this necklace. Well, in this town, every 100 years, they have to give the human queen to the elf king. And this keeps like the town healthy, it keeps them living longer, and like it makes them prosperous. Well, it's been a year since they were supposed to hand over the human queen, and they haven't found her yet. So the elf king is coming to search for her himself, because there's like this council of humans that actually are supposed to find her, and she's supposed to be trained at their temple, and like there's like this whole thing that's supposed to happen, and because they haven't found her yet, they haven't been able to go through all this process. And the elf king is like, no, I need my queen, I need to take her across the Fade, which is the barrier between the human and the like other realm, because like there's other creatures that live there. They talk about vampire, fae, lichen, and myrrh. So I'm guessing because this is like a standalone romance that's also part of a series, it's more like a companion novel. I already know there's Dance with the Fae Prince, and there's a vampire one too. So I'm guessing there's also going to be a lichen and a myrrh one, which I'm excited about. So all of them live across the Fade. And we find out later that the Fade is kind of like, it needs to be boosted. The energy needs to be boosted because it's like dead over there or whatever. After the elf king came, one of the girls like passes out. And so Luella goes over and like does her like medicine thing to like wake the girl up, and the elf king is like, I know who my human queen is. And they're like, Luella's like, great, why don't you go and get her and leave? And he's like, you know, why are you trying to hide from me? And she's like, what are you talking about? And so he like takes off the necklace that Luke had given her and was like, this is hiding your power. Well, also right after he took it off, like there was this big explosion of power, and there was like trees that grew up, and like there was vegetation everywhere. So he goes, why did you try to hide yourself? And she goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, and he goes, who gave this to you? And so she says, Luke. And Luke is like, why'd you do that? I loved you. You know, he starts freaking out. And she's like, he was going to find out anyway. Might as well just tell him now. And so the elf king then gets ready to kill Luke, which I was about ready to freak out over. Because, okay, my opinion is here. I love the whole friends to lovers thing. So the whole fact that her and Luke had like this thing together, and then right before the elf king shows up, I mean, he kind of forced her to be engaged with him, because he told her that he loved her, and then she told him, I love you back. And then he just assumed then that meant that they were going to get married. So he told her parents that they were engaged. And she's like, I never agreed to this. Like, she goes, oh, I'll deal with it later. But I still like that whole, like, friends to lover thing. That's, like, one of my favorite tropes. So I thought that was, like, so cute. And then the elf king was getting ready to, like, kill him. And I was just like, no! Luckily, he didn't get killed. But he is now going to be, like, tried by the council or whatever. And she then was, like, forced to marry the elf king really quickly. And then, like, taken over into the Fade, where she then sits on the throne, which she's basically, like, a battery for this area. Like, she sits on the throne, and it like sucks all the energy out of her to change it, like the land from winter to spring. And she's out for like 12 hours, and she has no control over her powers. She's kind of being picked on by some of the other elves that are like in the castle, including the king's brother. And the king is named Eldis. Elda? I don't. It's Eldas. I don't know how to say it. I've been calling him Eldos. And so whenever she's being picked on or whatever, her magic is kind of going out of control. And so the king then offers to like help her with her magic, but then they just end up in a fight. And so then she's working with Willow, who's one of the elf healers, to try to get control of her powers that way. And she's also trying to it sounds like she's going to try to figure out if she can break this contract. That way a human girl isn't forced to go and marry the elf king every 100 years. Because she's like, this isn't fair. I never asked for this. I wasn't planning on this. I want more from my life than just to sit on a throne and feed like magic into the world. She's like, I want to be a healer. I want to help people. Like, that's my passion. That is what I want to do. She doesn't want to be confined to this role that she never asked for, which completely makes sense. And she also this is very like, I would say it's a feminist like fantasy story, because she's very much like, I don't want to be shackled by a man. I don't want to, be put in these roles that are assigned to women. Like, that's not what she wants. And she's not going to just sit down and do what men want her to do. So I really like that aspect of it too. So I'm really enjoying this so far. I'm liking it a lot. So if I like it the whole way through, we might be reading A Dance with the Fae Prince later this year, because I'm really liking this so far. But I'm going to read more, and I will check in with you later. So I've gotten more reading done. Alright, so I'm 59% of the way through. I have 2 hours and 47 minutes left. So what's happened? Luella has decided that she is going to leave and go back to the human world because they don't need her anymore. As she's trying to find her way back to the human world, she ends up running into this wolf, and she thinks it's going to attack her, and it ends up like actually wanting her to pet it. And then Eldis shows up and is like, where are you going? And so she's like, oh, well, I already sat on the throne and fueled up your all's land, so I'm going home. And he goes, that's not how it works. You have to keep on sitting on it. She's like, so I'm like a living battery? And he's like, yes. She's like, no, I'm not okay with this. She's like, we need to figure out some way to break the cycle, the whole like human queen thing. And so he's like, okay, but you have to do it in 3 months. And she's like, why 3 months? He goes, well, because in 3 months you're going to have your coronation. And once you have your coronation, you won't be able to survive in the human world anymore. You'll only be able to go back for a few days once a year, or, because you'll have to eat our food and be here. And she's like, okay, well, I'll have to do it in 3 months. And then the wolf decides that he's now, I guess, her pet. He has chosen her, so he's following her around. And he apparently is a fae creature. Fae creatures are apparently, like, I guess, objects and like living creatures and people who were trapped or were hit when the Fade like came up that split the human world from the, I guess, supernatural creatures. So he can actually like disappear, like go back to the Fade and then reappear. So he can just like hide and like jump out of nowhere. It's kind of pretty cool. But he ends up like becoming her pet. The king then agrees to start training her in her magic again, because she's like, well, I need to get a handle of my magic so that I know kind of what I have, what I can access. And then she's also reading, there's these journals from the previous queen that kind of outlines their magic and like flowers and plants and stuff like that. So she's reading those to see if there's any hint there on what she can do to kind of like break this cycle. And then she also has started curing some people, because Haro, the king's younger brother, shows up looking for like the main healer, and she's gone for a couple weeks on like a special mission. We don't know why she's gone, but she's gone for like 2 to 3 weeks. And Willow, who's the assistant like doctor, went to go and grab him and Luella food. So she like heals Haro, and then he ends up sick again, and so she like heals him again. At one point, her and Rinny go furniture shopping, and when they go furniture shopping, one of the Fae tries to kidnap Luella, and the wolf ends up saving her. On top of, I think the king finds her then too, right after like the wolf intervenes. The furniture maker who drops off the furniture later, she gives him some medicine for his shaky hands or something like that. So she's trying to like do this healer role, and the king's just like, whatever. Well, she's decided that she has a thing for the king, or at least she wants, it's kind of weird because she's doesn't want to stay there. She wants to go back to the human world, but at the same time, she's clearly like wanting to have some type of relationship with the king, and like she likes when he's like near her and like when he touches her and stuff like that. It's almost like she wants to pursue a relationship with him because, you know, they're married, but she's also trying to get back home. So it's like a conflict of interest, but she gets Rene to have him agree to like a private dinner together. They start, you know, I think they kiss. I'm pretty sure they kiss. And then the next day he's like shutting off again, like super aloof or whatever, and she's just like, what happened? That's basically what's happened so far. I'm really liking it. This is really good. So I'm gonna get back to reading this. Hopefully I can finish it tonight and then tell you all my final thoughts and whatnot. I don't think this is gonna be a very long video. I mean, sometimes romance novels, there isn't a lot to like talk about. It's just, this is what happened and it was good. But I will fill you in with my final thoughts once I finish the book. It is now Friday and I did not finish this book last night. I usually go to bed at like 1 a.m. and like 11 o'clock hit and I was just like so exhausted, and like it was my eyes were exhausted. The rest of me was fine, but my eyes were just like burning. I just couldn't sit and read any longer. So I ended up I went to sleep. I probably still didn't fall asleep till like 12:30, 1 o'clock because my body wasn't tired. But I didn't finish the book yet, so I'm hopefully going to finish it today. That's the plan. But I got to a 73% last night. What I read was the Fae or elves or whatever of this world went to the king and was complaining to him about the land. Apparently there's a lot of areas that is kind of dead and they can't grow anything and people are getting hungry. Luella overhears this, and so she agrees to sit on the throne more. So she starts sitting on the throne. I don't know if it's every day. I'm guessing it's every day because she has like a 3-month period to like, and she's like really exhausted. It's really draining her. You know, she's getting bags under her eyes. Her cheeks are getting sunken in. You know, the king is kind of concerned about her. So he ends up taking her to the queen's cottage. So it's a surprise. He doesn't tell her. She doesn't know this exists. And they travel and he like shows her, and it's like this cute little cottage that is close enough to the kingdom that she can get back within a day, but far enough that she's kind of away from everybody. And so they're going to be there alone. I'm not sure for how long, because also the middle son, not his son, but like his brother, he's the middle child. His wife is going to be having her baby around the time that the coronation is, so they can't actually travel for the coronation. So the king and Luella are going to go to them and kind of have like a little, I guess, celebration, meet and greet thing, so that they can still meet her and everything before the coronation. So they stop at this cottage on their way there. And then Luella is discovering that there's this plant called the heartroot, and she's pretty sure that that has, like, she needs to find out more about this plant to be able to stop this cycle, because all of the queens kind of talk about it in their journals. And not only that, but like the statue that was created of like the second or third queen actually is like planting this plant into the ground. So she's pretty sure that that's the link that she needs, but she's not sure what she needs to do, you know, to break the cycle. And not only that, but she keeps on like, oh, I really want to get to know him. I wish, you know, he would touch me. But wait, I want to go home. So she's really conflicted about this whole getting to know the king better, but also she wants to go home. And then I told you that Poppy the healer was sent on a mission and we didn't know where. Well, we found out that Poppy was sent to the human realm to do Luella's like healer duties. That way the town wasn't left without a healer. Which, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. So I left off where they're at this cottage and there's only one bed, and he says that he's going to sleep downstairs on the couch. And she's like, well, the couch isn't big enough for you. And he goes, it's okay, I've done it before. And they're probably going to end up in bed together, I'm guessing. But yeah, so that was my check-in. So lots happened. I guess we're getting closer to finding out what's going to happen. So, well, let's find out. So I finished a deal with the Elf King, and it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. So what happened the last 25% of the book? As expected, Luella and the king last like one night before they're in bed with each other for like 3 days pretty much. So yeah, they're in their cottage, they're having a good old time. Then they have to go to his brother's place, and while they're there, they find out that Haro has, like, his guards were attacked and he's missing because he was supposed to be traveling to his brother's place too. They go and, like, fade walk to where the guards were found, and Luella discovers that the guards were placed there, and so she calls Hook, her wolf, to go and, like, sniff out Haro. Well, she believes that Arya, who is one of Haro's friends, is working with these Fae rebels or whatever, and he previously, the times when he was sick, it was because of this, like, drug called Glimmer, and so she believes that Arya was giving him the Glimmer because he had it unknowingly one night, and then he got addicted to it, and he was trying to, like, stop, but then addiction. So they end up finding him, and he's being held by the Fae rebels. And there's, like, a fight that happens, and then Arya reveals herself. Luella uses her magic to kind of, like, defeat them, and then Eldest, well, the king, kills everyone except for Arya because she is the Fae King's niece, I believe. So he's going to, like, return her to him so that he can dish out punishment. Well, while this happens, she remembers this thing about ritumancy. I can't say it. Ritumancy. And so she does some more research and discovers that the heart root she needs to go and plant in the natural world or the human world next to the tree that is linked to the throne in the Fae world. But before she goes, she's like, oh, I figured it out, I can go home, da-da-da. And the Elf King's like, well, you know, do you love me? And she's like, well, she doesn't want to give him a yes or no because she thinks that the reason she loves him is because she currently had no other choice. Like, she couldn't go home. There was, like, she had to become queen and sit on the throne. And she wants to make sure that she loves him for him and not because of circumstances. And she can't really, like, tell him this. So he gets mad and it's basically like, I wash my hands of you. And so she's all upset and she goes back and she plants the flower or plant next to the tree and she waits. And then she hears back that it worked, that the land is flourishing and everything's great and she doesn't have to worry about coming back. And so she's happy, but she's sad because when the delegate came to tell her that she isn't needed anymore, he took Poppy the healer back. So now they don't have a healer. So she still feels like this duty to the town to be the healer, but at the same time her heart is telling her to go back and be with the Elf King. So she ends up having a talk with her mom, and her mom tells her that actually a healer from Royton, which is, I guess, this town where the academy is, has had a healer be paid for 100 years of service, and so that girl's coming to be the healer. And so her mom's like, we just want you to be happy. Wherever you feel like you're going to be happiest, that's where we want you to be. So she's like, well, I have no way to get back because I have to have the Elf King's, like, permission to travel through the Fade. And then she remembers that Hook is a Fade creature, so he can actually guide her through the Fade. And so she goes back, and the King's, like, giving this announcement, and she, like, runs in and is like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. So then they go back to bed for, like, 2 days and then have the coronation and she becomes queen, but she doesn't have to be the elf queen, or the human queen, sorry. She doesn't have to be the human queen, and she doesn't actually have to, like her role can be different now because she doesn't have to fuel the land with her power anymore. And I think it's also more easier for her to go home, like, back and forth now than it was before. So yeah, it was really, really good. I really liked it. And so yeah, definitely in the future, probably later this year, we're going to be reading A Dance with the Fae Prince because I am looking forward to more of this series, which I'm so happy. Let me know down in the comments section what you thought of this book. What rating did you give it? Did you like it as much as I did? More, less? Let a girl know. But also, if you like this video, please give it a big old thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button down below. And I hope you have a wonderful good day or night, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!